Okay, now we're up to the marketing study.
Okay.
Anybody need to take a break?
I already did.
Okay.
And this is not a good time to do it, so don't do it now.
Oh.
If this is the same as the other one?
Yeah.
I'm not giving a presentation then. I am not giving, let me just say it again, I am not giving a PowerPoint presentation.
I think
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
we've all heard this.
What are we doing now? Fair enough?
No.
Okay.
Now we're doing marketing study.
Do you want me to say anything?
Yeah,
you better
Sure.
come and be available
Sit down
to
here.
answer questions.
Because they don't want to hear from me.
There.
So you can speak to
Yeah, he's got Tom.
Emma.
Maybe let's call him.
He's heard it. We've all
He
heard
just
it.
needs to be here to vote. He hasn't heard from her.
Yeah, yeah.
The only one who hasn't heard is me because I was out of town.
No, maybe not.
Oh, was Ben there that night?
No,
Ben was there.
Thank
was he
you.
upstairs?
Yeah, he
Ben
was.
and I sat together.
Well then, in that case,
Jim wasn't upstairs.
yeah, let's just vote. Let's hear a motion. Head to the chase.
Well, he's an active member of the community club, one of the few, right? Well,
Were you guys going to take it to the men's club or something? Did I hear
I
that?
think it already got brought up to men's stuff.
And there was,
no, nobody showed up.
Okay.
oh,
And
Nobody.
I talked to Scott about that, and I'm probably not the right person to take it.
okay. And I don't know that it's necessary, but
I think there are better
maybe
people to present that than me.
there might be down the road kind of thing. You know, maybe it's not necessary for this stage, but it might be for the execution. One thing we did talk about in that last meeting is that they tend to invest in things that are more tangible, like structures and things like that. And possibly something like that would be part of the end recommendation where their investment might be better. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't think it's needed right now, so hopefully.
So you're gonna, Emily, give us the
Well, I can give you a summary, I guess,
3-minute tour?
of what, does everyone have that handout, or should
Yeah,
I
it's on page
hand
10.
that out again? Okay. Yeah, I guess the synopsis is that, Scott reached out to me, my name is Emily, I'm Scott Bush. I was born and raised here in Lakeview, and have been away for several years, working in various capacities in marketing and communications, and we're back now. My husband is helping out my father at his business, Mystic Equipment, and so Scott and Tony asked to meet with me to talk a little bit about developing a marketing plan as a tool for economic development for Lakeview. I have a lot of experience in this, 10+ years, and some very specific experience dealing with small communities such as Lakeview, also larger communities and counties, and even the state of Colorado. So this is something that I'm excited about doing for the city of Lakeview. In that handout, I gave just a brief summary of things like audiences that we can reach out to, tourism areas we can tap into when we're looking at furthering the economy here, using tourism as a tool. I also briefly outlined the steps of planning and developing a successful marketing program. Some of these steps have already been done. We have a lot of good data already that can be utilized. However, the second page or the back page of this handout are some key considerations I outlined with Scott and also the community club the other evening about some key things I will play a role in doing, some additional data collection that's really important for us to use as a foundation for a successful marketing plan, but also a few other things. And I think the real deliverable here, and something that was discussed at length at the community club, is that we want the end game here to be tactics that are truly actionable and something that we can implement. And the other thing we spoke about is me proposing tactics at various budget levels. So they're being options, not only in terms of cost, low, mid to high, but also a phased approach where we can recognize budget limitations, staff limitations for this to be implemented over time. So, but the real key here is things that can be executed, things that are actionable now and later, really specific recommendations for the community. So with that said, I guess, Scott, is there anything I'm leaving out in terms of what we talked about the other evening?
No, I think that you just really hit on the most important thing that anybody brought up was, come up with a plan that is very that is practical and actionable. People don't like the idea of working through a planning process just to get a plan that nothing ever comes of. So, they made that very well known that they want this to end up being a true implemented marketing plan and something that would actually happen, and we feel real confident that that can happen. It's not going to be some grand pie-in-the-sky scheme about how we ought to market the community. It will be something that is truly something that can be implemented and implemented at various levels of financial participation.
And I think some key things we talked about the other night, one is the goal here is to become really clear and focused with these recommendations, to really focus on who we're talking to in terms of our audience, what we want to accomplish, our goals and objectives. We also want this to be agreed upon, so the data collection phase really needs to involve members of the community and various organizations, the churches, the men's club, DNR, whomever's involved. So at the end game, everyone's agreeing upon the final recommendations, and there's a clear understanding of that, and it's realistic also. We talked about that. And finally, something that can be quantified, so we can measure our effort. It's not just these recommendations where possible, we want to attach quantifiable measurements and goals to all of the tactics. So we talked about that, and just really that it needs to be a collaborative process for it to be successful and for it to come off a piece of paper. We don't want just a document sitting on somebody's desk. We actually want these things to be implemented.
I think we are uniquely fortunate to have the opportunity to work with someone about Emily's experience, and her resume speaks for itself. So I will make a motion to commit the city to $3,000 for phases 1 through 3 of this project, and request that we proceed immediately.
Before we go to voting, Scott, where are we going to get the money?
It would either be that we do have the funds. It would either be local option sales tax funds. You could use a general fund. We would have that enough money in the general fund. The other thing to consider is to start using hotel motel tax funds, understanding that it runs the account negative for a while until it catches up. Which I don't know that I would necessarily recommend, because we'll be coming back later on asking for funds per implemented.
I would be supportive of that.
My question is, I think this is something we probably will need to plan for. My question is before we as a council would vote on this, do you think we should try to get the men's club on board, see what they would, or do you think that is...
I think we come up with a worthwhile project. I think the men's club would jump in behind it. I don't think that's a question.
Yeah,
They
I think we need some
they
more
jump into all that
specifics.
stuff. But if you walk in there and say, hey guys, can you give us $10,000, but we don't know what it is, they're not going to give us that.
So,
and I don't blame them. I wouldn't do it either.
So
I'm a little scared here.
So the thing about, so I guess my question to ask you, Tim, is that if the community club sanctioned $2,000, so if the council would go through recommendation of $3,000, so now we got $5,000 in the pot. Saying that we got this, what's your feeling with the men's club? Would they be more...
Well, the last community club meeting, I told them there'd be a meeting and no one bothered to come or even so much as contact Jeff Ross,
So
if something, yeah, I mean...
I did talk to Jeff a little bit.
Well, I asked him that meeting, he said no one had contacted me, but regardless, I don't know, I mean, more of you can show up and, if you can say, that, like, I think it's Scott that said, we like building, the DNR come and talk to us too, and we wanted, we even said we want something that if it's built, we can point to it and say, we did that.